Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Cole Phillips, author of The Adventure of the Twisted Truths and host of The Book and Dagger, the YouTube channel where we talk about everything fiction and fantasy. As promised in a video I posted a few days ago, today we're going to be talking about The Wheel of Time. Specifically today, in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the key differences between the books and the first season. Now, this is going to be heavily on spoilers, of course. Mostly this is for people who have maybe watched the TV show but have not read the books, or for people who have read the books but not watched the TV show. Um, as if you've seen some of my previous videos, you know that I'm a big fan of the books by Robert Jordan. They are probably America's greatest fantasy series, and I have not been such a big fan of the TV show, and I've criticized the TV show heavily in numerous videos in the past. But I've never really gone too depth into why, other than that it's different from the book. And I get that a lot of people are like, oh well, I want to get something clear. So I'm not hating on the TV show just because it's different from the book. I'm hating on the fact that they made changes to the TV show. They made changes in the TV show that are totally different from the book, and it doesn't work. Now, if you're making a movie adaptation of a book, there's of course the fine line you have to walk, or a TV show adaptation of a book. There's a fine line you really have to walk because you're going to have the super fans who are not really going to be pleased with anything. You're going to have those super fans who are going to be like, okay, well, I can see why they had to make that change. And obviously, there's a whole lot you got to work through. But I just want to go more in depth into some of these changes and why they just aren't good. And kind of just give a kind of an explanation for like if you're maybe you're a fan of the TV show and you have not seen the book series. I just kind of want to explain from a book. Someone who listened to all the audiobook versions and just was absolutely fascinated and thrilled, and just like my journey through reading The Wheel of Time was one probably the best moments of. There were so many great moments in it that I was just like, as my life was like going on, I was listening to this audiobook series, and it just really like resonated with me, and there were so many moments where I was just like, yes, this is so good. I got actually like genuinely hyped. And so as a book lover, I just kind of want to go over why the show hasn't been hitting very well for me, and I'm kind of disappointed. Specifically today, we're just going to be talking about season one, though, because from what I believe, Amazon is making, they're going to do like one season equals one book kind of thing, which should make sense because the Wheel of Time books are really massive and really long. Um, so like one season equals one book is pretty going to be pretty, like, I feel like that is a good approach to it. I guess we're going to start out though. In the first book, lots of spoilers, obviously. In the first book, we of course have Rand, the three main characters, Rand, Matt, and Perrin, who are three farm boys living in Emmonsfield, this little village way out of the way, very reminiscent of the Shire from the Lord of the Rings. And an Aes Sedai named Moraine and her warder named Lan come to the village, and they're basically seeking the Dragon Reborn, the prophesied hero who's going to fight the Dark One, defeat the world, or defeat the Dark One, save the world, and break it, as the prophecies say. Um, and then, of course, an army of evil monsters come and they attack the village. Moraine and Lan fight them off, and of course, then they take the three boys, and then they're accompanied by Gwen Alvier, the daughter of an innkeeper, and she's apparently she can learn to channel and the magic of the Wheel of Time, and she's apparently this like the most powerful one of the most powerful channelers that's ever been seen. A long time, so Moraine takes her with them. Of course, along the way they meet all these different like allies and stuff. They Tom Maryland, they meet, Naive comes along. Basically, they introduced all these characters. They go on this long journey. They go to Caelin. They meet the Queen of Andor. They go up to Shinar, and they meet the King of Shinar. They're journeying to the Eye of the World, which is this. It's very interesting. The Wheel of Time, the Eye of the World is described as. So the world itself is often described like there's this mountain range that's called the spine of the world. And there's these other little places that are the world is kind of thought of as like a body almost. There's all these different places that are kind of named after body parts. The Eye of the World, which is the name of the first Wheel of Time book, is this in the Blight, which the Blight is this just awful place. basically whatever grow any plants that grow in the blight are like they're growing, but they're like moldy and dying as they're growing. There's all these like terrifying beasts and awful things that live there. But in this blight is the eye of the world, which is this just beautiful place of like lush green plants and just like butterflies and birds. And the Green Man lives there, which the Green Man is this like the last remaining member of this ancient race, kind of like Ents from the Lord of the Rings. Essentially, they're these big, tall, like humanoid shapes, and they're made like out of like moss and trees and stuff, or stuff like that. Basically, like walking humanoid plants. Um, and then eventually, their group they go up there. They two of the Forsaken find them. There's a fight, and then like the main character, Randall Thor, discovers that he can channel. He's one of the few men who in this world can channel, and it's basically like very heavily hinted that he could be the Dragon Reborn. They don't explicitly say it, but in the second book, they basically confirm it that yeah, he's the Dragon Reborn essentially. So they find the Horn of Valir. All this stuff happens. It was just an amazing journey, and just a really good book and a really solid start for the series. Season 1 of The Wheel of Time, however, for me, it was a very, very rocky start. For starters, the one of the three main characters, one of the three Taviran in the series, Perrin Abara, in the books, he does not have a wife at the start. In the books, he is a young man, barely 20, I believe, maybe not even 20. I'll have to go back and reread, but they're like the 18 to 20 range throughout the entire book series. So he's a young man, still a teenager, I think, and he's just a young, awkward, shy farm boy. Well, he's a blacksmith's apprentice, but he lives in this village, farmers and everything. In the show, they just went and he's apparently got a wife and he's living. I mean, he's married, and I'm just like, I first thought I was like, wait, what? Perrin is not married in the books for obvious like. There's specific stuff in the books that happens down the road where he meets like the first love of his life and marries her. In the show, they just star him out with a wife. So all of a sudden, they're like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Then I will say when they did the Battle of Emond's Field very well when the Trollocs come, Moraine and Land fight the Trollocs off, and it is an incredible action scene. The music, I personally think the music of that scene is some of the best kind of battle action music, and it paired really well with the way Moraine wove the one power into like fireballs and lightning. Lan, of course, the actor who plays Lan is incredible, and he looks exactly like Lan. And the sword fighting was awesome. Um, but then that is where the show took a very different turn because in the show there while the troll I'm not gonna go like through the entire series and the entire book and point out every single difference. I'm just gonna name some of the main ones. And the first major one that I had beef with was Perrin and his wife are fighting the Trollocs, and Perrin accidentally kills his wife. And I was like, okay, why would you? Perrin is one of my favorite characters, like top 3 favorite characters for me in the book series. And the way they did him in the show, just having to kill his wife, I was just like, no, why would you do that? Perrin is a beloved character in the book series. Why are you already butchering his character like this? Anyway, that's one of the first big major issues. There's a whole, then the storyline kind of goes way different places in the book series. Obviously, Moraine and their party, they go through Caemlyn, the capital of Andor, and meet Queen Morgana stuff, and that's entirely cut from the books or the show. Instead, in the show, they go through a Tar Valon, which is the seat of the Aes Sedai, and it's just a very different. Like it takes weaves and turning. They do kind of they do kind of stick with the storyline in the fact that at one point in the series they get broken up into groups. Egwene and Perrin get separated and in a group. Like Matt and Rand get like separated. They go off in a group. Moraine and Lan get like separated. They do kind of follow that, except in the books, Matt and Rand are with Tom Maryland, who was originally in Emond's Field, and journeying with them. In the show, they introduce him later on. He's not in Emond's Field at all. They introduce him later on, and now that is pretty accurate because Tom does eventually. Matt and Rand get attacked by a Murdril, and Tom fights it off to save them. They dip it out of there. Um, but then another big difference, second big difference that was kind of a shocker for me was um, Perrin's wolf brother ability. So in the books, Perrin, when they get separated, like I said, Perrin and Egwene meet up with this man called Elias Matura. And he's like, they walk in, he's like sitting around this campfire. There's a bunch of like just wolves just laying around the campfire. And he's just like laying with them. And he reveals that he's what's called a wolf brother, which in the Wheel of Time is essentially he has like a telepathic link with the wolves. And he can like basically essentially communicate with them. He also has like yellow eyes, so he can like see as well as a wolf, and he can smell as well as a wolf, and he can like hear as well as a wolf. Stuff like that. He can smell people's emotions and like how if they're like nervous or afraid or whatever. And it's introduced that Perrin is also a wolf brother, and he can also speak with the wolves. In the show, they do not meet Elias Mature in season one. Instead, Perrin's wolf brother abilities are revealed when they're captured by the Children of the Light, or sometimes derogatory known as the White Cloaks. And they're believed to be dark friends. And in the books, it's also worth noting that they are captured by the White Cloaks. However, this takes place after Perrin's abilities are revealed. Because in the book, Perrin and Elias and Egwene and some of the wolves are together, and the White Cloaks show up, and a White Cloak kills one of Hopper, one of Perrin's wolf friends that he's learned to talk to. And Perrin, in a rage, kills two White Cloaks, and they're captured by the White Cloaks. In the book, they're captured by the White Cloaks, and then while they're being tortured by the White Cloaks, the wolves show up, and Perrin's like abilities like activate, and it's kind of like his like abilities like kind of activated, and then the wolves came in to help, and it was kind of just this. It just didn't feel as well, and it just wasn't done. It felt rushed, and it wasn't done as well as the books. Um, Finally, my third biggest complaint with the first season of the Wheel of Time is that in the books, when they go to the Eye of the World, it's Moraine, a very powerful Aes Sedai, Lan, a very powerful warder, Rand al'Thor, Perrin Aybara, Matt Cawthorn, the three strongest ta'veren the world has seen since Arthur Hawkwing, which, if you don't know, ta'veren are essentially people who fate and reality kind of twists itself around them. And that can be good or it can be bad. Usually for the ta'veren, it is good. And like if somebody was going to stab them with a knife, the knife misses, or something like that. Reality and chance itself is distorted around them, usually in their favor. So you got a very powerful Aes Sedai, a very powerful warder, three insanely powerful ta'veren, and then you've got Egwene and Nynaeve, two. They're fledgling Aes Sedai. They're not fully trained, but they are two of the strongest women who can channel that the world has ever seen. Like they have the potential to become the two most powerful women in the world, essentially, in terms of raw strength and the one power. Now, in the books, they all go into the Blight, and that's like a formidable it's a small group, so they can stealthily go through and try to avoid as many of the monsters as possible. But it's still a very formidable group, and they're going to the Eye of the World because they're trying to figure out if the Dark One has actually they're trying to figure out his seals are like breaking, and they believe that if they go to the Eye of the World, they can stop him from breaking free. And they believe the Green Man can also help them, which the Green Man is this legendary creature with all these mystical powers. In the books, it's very different. In the books, Rand, it's like there's this kind of weird scene where he just kind of realizes, he looks back on some of his past stuff that happened that was weird, and he's like, oh, I can channel. Oh, I'm the Dragon Reborn. He goes to Moraine, he's like, it's me, I'm the Dragon Reborn, and he and Moraine go alone into the Blight. Excuse me. Which is personally kind of stupid, just two people going in. Which, yes, Moraine is a very powerful Aes Sedai, and Rand is ta'veren and the Dragon Reborn, but he doesn't know how to channel. He can't control his channeling yet. So the fact that just the two of them went in instead of this group of seven, was very weird. Also, it was just they cut the Green Man out entirely. It made the whole Eye of the World sequence very in the books. It's just so much like the Green Man, they are being chased by these terrifying monsters, and they stumble into the eye of the world. And the Green Man starts like walking towards them. He's surrounded by like these butterflies and birds. Like wherever he walks, it's just this like sphere of just green and goodness around him. And they just cut that from the books or from the show, and I was so disappointed because I really wanted to see the Green Man. Because then in the books, two of the Forsaken, who were sealed, but the Dark One's prisons, the seals have been weakening. So two of the Forsaken have broken free, and they attack the group. And the Green Man like goes. The Green Man fights the Forsaken, and he literally like the Green Man gets set on fire, but then he basically turns one of the Forsaken, like mushrooms start sprouting from his eyes, and his body starts like turning into vines. It's just this crazy, like awesome scene. Like the Green Man was basically like, "Hey, you're setting me on fire, so I'm dying, but I'm taking one of you down with me." And the Forsaken are these insanely powerful creatures. So getting to see the Green Man and the Forsaken fight is just this awesome scene. And then it's this whole just chaos essentially, where Lan is trying to attack them. He gets thrown back by a wheel of air. Moraine makes fire explode from the earth, and then the Forsaken chase them, and then Rand is like unlocks his powers and duels the Forsaken. It's just this whole crazy fight scene. In the show, they instead made it where Nynaeve and Egwene and a couple other channelers are facing this army of Trollocs, while Moraine and Rand are in the eye of the world. And then Moraine gets stilled, and then Rand like sees these visions of the future and basically like flashes light at Ishamael, who's this Forsaken who's appeared, and sends him away somewhere. And then the women who are like linked channeling, they destroy this army, like 50,000 Trollocs would burn themselves out, and then Nynaeve like heals them, and it was very unclear kind of what was happening. It just wasn't as satisfying as the books. And it was like as a book reader, like watching it, I was just kind of like, okay, that kind of fell flat. And I know I've seen a lot of people have not read the books and just watched the show, were kind of like, oh, that was kind of anticlimactic. Yeah, those are my biggest beefs with season one of The Wheel of Time. It's probably the weakest, the worst season out of all of them. Season three has been doing okay, which I will be talking about that when the final episode drops, and watch that one. I'll do a review of season three as a whole. I'll also be doing a review of season two coming up soon. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for that. I will see you guys next time.